What if I told you that the best diet for dropping body fat, building muscle, and looking exactly the way you want to look is the one that you've probably already been on? Hear me out. Most lads, when they try and build muscle, they try and lose body fat for a holiday or whatever it is, they go literally full panic mode. Cutting out beer, so nights out when the lads is gone, can't go out with the missus, no food, no drinking, no enjoyment of life essentially. Then by the weekend they're wondering why they're balls deep in a Domino's and obviously sinking 5 pints. My point is, the problem isn't you don't know what to eat, it's that you're doing far too much, you're overcomplicating it, and because of that you're struggling to actually stick to it. You're struggling to stick to it because you've maybe got a family, you've got a busy job, you've got a lot of different things going off in life. So yeah, this thing on paper might look perfect, but in reality you can't really fit into your specific lifestyle because of all these different things. So for example, what I do with my guys, right, is when somebody comes on board, yeah, I'll give you a meal plan as a bit of a sort of like a structure, but for that first week is an assessment week, right? I get you to essentially track what you're currently eating when you're being so-called good. Because you've already got a go-to routine. You've already got a go-to routine. You already know, for example, what to eat when you're being consistent and when you're being good and when you're on plan, right? Even if it's not perfect, we look at it and be like, right, well, this is what we're doing right now. This is maybe what we need to tweak because of this exact reason. What we'll do, we'll look at it, we'll probably bump up the protein here, maybe adjust the calories slightly here. But in reality, probably keeping the same sort of like foods as what you're currently eating. My whole point is though, you just need to have a routine and a structure with it, especially as we get into them summer months where, for example, the beer garden's calling a little bit more. We're obviously eating, we're drinking, we have a lot more plans, we have holidays coming up. You can still enjoy all these things, but it's like, right, well, how can I stick to what I know that needs to be done despite all these things happening? But like I said, with it, even within that first week, it's not making drastic changes. It's focusing on being consistent with with essentially, I guess, what you already need to be done. God, I can't get words out today, can I? So what essentially you already know that needs to be done, and then that is essentially laying the foundations and we build on that week on week. We're building consistency, we're making smarter choices, we're setting a routine and structure that essentially works specifically for your lifestyle. Not bloody John down the road, but for you only. This is why I always say to people as well, like people ask me for like one-off plans and stuff like that, and they don't work. One, you can get a one-off plan from ChatGPT. That's not the point, right? People don't need more information. People need someone there to, I guess, help them implement that information, help them implement that specific plan to their specific lifestyle. Like, again, getting in shape, yes, from a strategy standpoint is pretty straightforward, but it's just life happens, and that life makes it difficult to actually stick to because of, as we mentioned earlier, holidays coming up, work, family, whatever it may be. It's them things that make it difficult and more than likely are throwing you off track. Then essentially, I guess within that first week as well, I guess once you've made them sort of like initial early changes and then early tweaks, because they seem, essentially because they are small tweaks, it's like, right, we make these small tweaks, we get consistent with those small tweaks. That'll be week 1, for example. Week 2, we make some more tweaks to obviously improve the rate of progression, get consistent with that, right? My whole point is you're not going from level 1 to level 10 straight away. You go from level 1, get consistent with that, move into level 2, consistent with that, level 3, consistent with that. Whatever level 1 to 10 looks like will be different for every single individual, right? But my whole point is, the biggest reason you are falling off track and cannot stick to a plan is, one, because you go from 1 to 100 straight away. Yes, for example, that's great if you want results in a short amount of time, but what you don't realize and what other people don't see when people are doing these like fat loss challenges and stuff like that is, yeah, from 0 to let's say 6 weeks, great, you've lost X amount of weight. But after that point, yeah, you might have hit a mini goal, but the whole point is you've lost that weight, but you've done it in a way that's not sustainable, and it's all right, you don't know how to continue to lose obviously even more of that body fat, because I always say essentially what's made you lose that 2 to 3 kilos or however much you've lost is not gonna help you lose the next 2 to 3 kilos if you have obviously more to lose, right? Your body's stubborn, your body gets used to, for example, what you are doing to achieve a certain result, in this case fat loss and building muscle, right? So again, you're gonna need to change these certain things, and when you plateau, a lot of the time people lose motivation, they again fall off track, and then obviously then they're like, right, well, I'm doing the same amount of work, but I'm not getting the same results from that. Motivation dips, you start to snack more at the weekends and going out and eating, drinking and that sort of thing, and then you start that same cycle. Right? But essentially when you do it in the way that I've mentioned, it's like, it's much easy to, well, it's a much more sustainable way of doing things, right? You're factoring it in, I guess, a plan to what actually fits into your current lifestyle. It's not, for example, a plan that, I don't know, works for John, because that works for John and John only. That works for his lifestyle, that works for his family commitments, for his work commitments, right? What's gonna work for you? You need to figure that out, or obviously you need help with that, right? Because again, I reiterate, you can get a plan off anybody, right? You can get a plan off ChatGPT, but it's like, right, the whole thing is, it's right, how can that plan, that specific plan, fit into my current lifestyle and help me progress and reach whatever goal that I'm trying to achieve, essentially. So that is essentially exactly how I get my clients results, right? It's not a magic wand, it's not anything like that, because essentially coaching isn't just giving somebody calories and macros. I mean, a lot of coaches out there do that, and there's a lot of shit coaches out there, right? So that's why that will happen. But coaching is, yes, training, macros, that's a small part of it, but the actual accountability that comes with that, having you, right, I guess, allowing somebody there, I guess somebody being there to lay out that routine, lay out that structure, lay out that roadmap, but more importantly, making sure that you implement that through accountability, through that support, and helping you manage, for example, your time, obviously your work commitments, and all these other different things that are going to throw you off. That's how you are going to get results. That's why I get results, because it's not because, right, yes, I know what I'm doing, but it's because I have a coach, keep me accountable, but takes the guesswork out of it completely, right? It gives me routine, gives me structure. I then don't have to think about what to do. All I have to do is do the actual work, and that's hard enough in itself. But you have that accountability then to keep you up the arse when you actually need to it. So essentially, it's keeping things simple, and it's making them small tweaks and then being consistent with them small tweaks week on week, because that there is the exact diet that you can follow. You just need small tweaks to that, right? Don't try and follow another fancy diet or anything like that. Focus on what you know you can do, focus on what's worked in the past, but just realize that it may just need a couple of different tweaks to make sure you can, yes, follow it, because you know you've done it before, but you can follow it for an actual long-term thing, right? Because obviously we want long-term results. We don't just want results for 6 to 12 weeks. We want it to be essentially like a lifestyle change, essentially. So if you are struggling, and this does sound like you, I've put together a 4-week free coaching program. So obviously you fill in your details when you click in this link below. What it's going to do is it's going to give you access to a Google Drive, where obviously you can have meal plans and training and stuff. Again, that's the small part of it. But what you'll get is a series of emails with a series of videos that's going to essentially walk you through step by step exactly how I'd get you from point A, where you are right now, to point B, essentially that goal that you actually want to achieve, right? The exact step-by-step process that I would sort of like take you through, and I do it in terms of right, what exactly I would take a client through, right? Again, the changes I've made, what I'd look out for, what I guess to sort of like track to help you make them changes week on week, and therefore then getting your, yes, a result, but more than likely getting that result for a way that you can actually sustain for the rest of your life. A way, and I guess a result that actually sticks to your current lifestyle, that works with obviously your family, with your work commitments and all these different things, right? So if you want it, drop your details below. Any questions with it, like I said, just drop me a message. Like, comment, subscribe, all that jazz. And yeah, if you've made it this far, listening to me, I appreciate it. I appreciate you a lot. I'll see you in the next one, sunshine.